If you were to go onto any Dead by Daylight forum or discussion thread, there is a very good chance that at some point you're going to come across somebody talking about a rank system and the fact that they think that Dead by Daylight needs one. Now, I've already done an entire video about ranking systems in the past and whether or not I think Dead by Daylight needs one. If you don't want to go watch that video, that's fine. I'm just going to tell you right now that I don't believe that Dead by Daylight needs a ranking system. I go into a lot more depth in that video, and if you want to check that out, then you're more than welcome to do so after this one. But the point is that I don't believe that ranking systems solve problems that people think that they solve. I think that there is an illusion that ranking systems solve the problem of casuals versus competitives in the same queue lineup, but it really doesn't for a numerous amount of reasons. That mainly being that people choose which system they choose to play. They choose which mode they want to play, and so you'll have casual players playing the ranked system and ranked players playing the casual system for a varying amount of reasons, and it all just ends up being the same queue anyway, just split into two different modes. That being said, despite the lack of a proper rank system, Dead by Daylight actually has something called grades. Grades come in 5 categories: ash, bronze, silver, gold, and iridescent. The grade is only a representation of how long you have played the game for that month, and they reset on the 13th of every month. Haha, get it? Friday the 13th, it's clever. The point is that the grading system, for the most part, I actually don't mind that much. I know a lot of people want a proper ranking system back because they believe that MMR is something that needs to be visually shown, as if that's going to solve MMR and matchmaking problems. This is actually something that happened on my matchmaking video that I made last week, where a lot of people were like fairly convinced that if MMR was visual, if you could see it, it would somehow make things better. And I'm not sure why. Like, at the end of the day, the matchmaker is still going to work the way it is. Just because you can see what elo you're at and how the matchmaker is deciding who it's putting you up against, that doesn't change the way that it works. There's still a lot of fundamental problems. But I guess I can see people wanting to have a visual indicator of how good they think they are at the game. Although, if ranking systems have taught me anything, a lot of you would be sorely disappointed with how that works. Anyway, back to grades. So grades, like I said, come in those 5 categories, and at the end of the month, you get a certain amount of blood points that are distributed to you based on the grade that you hit and the number within the grade. Every single grade goes from 4 to 1 before moving on to the next one. And once you hit a numbered grade, so for example, if you hit gold 3, it is impossible for you to fall down back into gold 4. You can only ever go up. However, it is possible to end up hard stuck in a number grade because of the way that the pipping system works. Pips are these little things that are awarded to you based on how well you performed in the match. Not really, but we'll get to that in a moment. The way pipping works is at the end of the match, the game kind of goes over how you performed individually throughout the match, and then it awards you these things called emblems. We'll get to that in just a second. Depending on the grade of emblems that you are getting, it fills up a bar at the bottom, and you can either get negative pips, a safety pip, meaning you don't gain or lose pips, and then 1 or 2 pips. You can only ever double pip at maximum at any given time, meaning no matter how well you play, you can't jump multiple grades within the same match, which I think is a pretty decent failsafe. One of my biggest complaints, however, is if this is not a proper ranking system, which it's not, then why the fuck does D-pipping exist? I don't understand it. I don't know why that's the case. You can't fall out of grades, so why are you forcing me hard stuck into these things by taking away a lot of my hard-earned work? And that's where we get into emblems. The reason D-pipping is such a problem, the reason a lot of people have such a problem, is because emblems are bullshit. First off, nobody knows how emblems work. Shut up. No, you do not. Right? You might know the actions that you need to take to possibly get to a certain point with emblems, but no one actually has any fucking understanding of how it works. You can go on the wiki and see like a bunch of different point breakdowns and how many points it takes to get to a certain part of the emblem, right? So like say like 100 points will get you to like an iridescent emblem or something like that, right? But there's nothing to really break down numerically how that all works. For example, for Killer, the Gatekeeper emblem is based off of how long you can keep the gens from being finished and how many gens are finished after each minute of the match for the first 9 minutes. But how that actually works, no one is really sure, right? Like, obviously, you'll get iridescent if all 5 emblems are still not done after the first 9 minutes. But at what point does it go from iridescent down to gold? And that's another problem with emblems. Emblems do not work in a universal way. Some of them, like the Gatekeeper emblem that I just mentioned, start at the top and move down. You start off with an iridescent emblem, and then as time goes on, you can move down the emblems. This also occurs for the Unbreakable emblem for survivors, which is bullshit, by the way, where it starts at iridescent emblem, and then every time you are downed, it moves down another color. But other emblems go from the bottom up, and this can cause a lot of problems. A great example of this on the killer side is the Chaser emblem. The Chaser emblem starts off by not even giving you an emblem, and then goes up the faster you end chases, but not too fast. Because if you end up insta-downing a survivor as soon as you find them, or if you find a survivor before the chase mechanic even kicks in, then you don't get any reward for that. For example, I play a lot of Hillbilly now. If I get a cross-map snipe and absolutely scare the shit out of a survivor, I don't get any points for that snipe. I end up with silver chaser emblems very regularly, even when I am 5K'ing at fucking like, or sorry, 5K'ing, even when I am 4K'ing at like 5 gens or 4 gens, I don't get a lot of chaser emblems because I finish shit too fast. And that just really is weird how you can be punished for performing your job too well. Another example of this is actually on the survivor side with the benevolent emblem. Let's say you have an absolute juicer on your team and the killer has just decided that they only want that person. That person never gets down, they never get injured, they never get hooked, and you never end up healing them. Well, guess what? You just got fucked on your benevolent emblem because it goes up depending on how many times you unhook somebody, how many times you heal somebody, and stuff like that, right? So because it goes from the bottom up, you could end up having a 4-man out with no one ever getting downed or hooked and end up with a bronze benevolent emblem. And to me, that's just stupid. So the way that I would take a look at emblems, the way that I would personally fix them is threefold. Number one, I would remove depipping entirely, right? Because there's no reason to have depipping. If it's not a proper rank system, you can keep your safety pips, right? You can keep your you didn't gain any pips at all, and you can keep your double pip system so that people don't fly through the ranks at exceedingly high ranks. Okay? You get I do not care about that. But depipping needs to go. Number two, all emblems need to start from iridescent and move down. All of them need to start from top and go down. Because ones that start from the bottom and go up, you will often lose out on simply because of the way the game works. You should not be punished for a complete blowout of your opponents. If you are a killer that 4Ks at 5 gens, you shouldn't be punished for that. If you are a survivor who all 4 people get out without anyone going down, you should not be punished for that. Emblems are fucking dumb when they work in the opposite direction of down up. You should always start with the max amount of points and lose points as things goes on. How this works from emblem to emblem can be, what's the word I'm looking for? It can be changed, right? So like, for example, the Lightbringer emblem. I'm sure that's like the first thing on people's minds. You start from the bottom and you gain points as you complete generators and cleanse totems. So how do you fix it? How you fix it is if you start from the top and you lose points depending on how many generators are left uncompleted and how many totems are left uncleansed by the time the game ends, right? So if you didn't do a single generator, or you didn't distract the killer while the generators were being done and everyone gets a 4-man out, you personally will have a lower Lightbringer emblem because you didn't contribute, right? But the people who worked on, but if everybody does 1 generator each a piece and then cleanses a totem, for example, then maybe everybody walks out with iridescent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it should start at the bottom and then because you didn't get to work on a generator because the killer was chasing you the whole fucking game, you get punished for it. You see what I'm saying? That's just the way that I'm thinking about it. And finally, third, because the change to emblems and the lack of depipping would have people climbing a lot faster, in my personal opinion, they need to add 2 more grades and distribute everything a little bit differently. So I think Ash is great. Ash is a grade that you don't earn any points for because it means that you didn't play during that month, right? Like if you play during that month, you should get out of Ash within like 5 games. Like no excuses, right? But I like bronze, silver, gold, but I don't think we should jump straight from gold to iridescent. I think we should have platinum and diamond in between gold and iridescent and then redistribute the way blood points work. And in my opinion, if you get to iridescent 1, you should get enough blood points to be able to prestige 3 a character. Maybe that's too much, right? 3 million, maybe that's too much in some people's opinion. But in my opinion, if you have those 2 additional grades, I don't think as many people are going to be getting to it. And blood points are a joke anyway. And there's so many I've talked about this before. There's so many fucking characters in the game. Who gives a shit how much if you're getting fucking tons and tons of blood points once a month, right? If people are getting 6 million blood points once a month, is that really going to break the progression system? I don't fucking think it will. There is almost 70 characters in this game now, bro. Over 70, actually, I think, if I'm doing my math right, which I'm not like looking at anything, but you know what I mean? In conclusion, emblems are just really, really frustrating. It's way too easy to climb on the killer side, way too hard to climb on the survivor side. You get punished for performing well, which is just ass backwards, and depipping just doesn't make any sense in a system that doesn't have a proper ranking system. So that's the way I think about it. But as always, I did want to hear your guys' opinions. I don't make these videos just to spout my opinions at you. I always like reading your comments, even if I don't get to reply to every one. So please leave your thoughts down below. And as always, a special thank you to our channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today and get perks like seeing videos early, then please click that join button down below. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one.